Grace Elizabeth, or Gracie Henderson, was born on October 27, 1886, in Marys County, Missouri. She was the third of 10 children born to William and Mary Reagan Henderson. When Gracie was born, her father was 28 and her mother was 24. On the 1900 census, Gracie was 14, living with her parents and 7 siblings. The family had moved to Ozark County, Missouri, where her father was working as a farmer and her mother was working as a housewife. In 1908, when Gracie was 21, she lost her father, William. He died at the age of 50 due to pneumonia unexpectedly, leaving her mother widowed with 6 children still in the home. The next few years of Gracie's life left some questions. I found this information on her family search and ancestry pages. Her family search page states on April 27, 1909, when she was 22, she married 24-year-old Riley Johnson. The page said they were married in Creek County, Oklahoma. Riley was a well-known teacher in the Ava area. I found several newspaper articles about him, most of them praising him for his teaching. One said he was voted the laziest person at a fundraising supper a school he was teaching at held. He did travel back and forth for his teaching jobs pretty frequently, and he sometimes took jobs in Oklahoma and then would return back to the Ava area when they were done. 1 year after their marriage, on September 23, 1910, Gracie gave birth to a daughter named Hilda, or Ruth, Johnson. That same year, the 1910 census listed Gracie and baby Ruth living in the town of Champion in Douglas County, Missouri. They were living with Gracie's older sister, Bertha Cheney, and her family. I then found Riley Johnson on the same 1910 census living in Denver, Colorado. He is living as a lodger, meaning he is paying to live in a house with people he has no relation to, so a boarding house. He states he is doing track work for the Tramway Company, which is a railroad company. He also states he is not married and has no children. On Gracie's census, she stated she was married. Maybe they had split up before Riley left for Colorado. I'm really not sure. When the census is also only done every 10 years, it is hard to fill in the gaps sometimes. Gracie died only 1 year after that census was taken. Gracie passed away on February 11th, 1911, at the age of 24. I wasn't able to find what her cause of death was. In 1916, 5 years after Gracie's death, 32-year-old Riley Johnson married 19-year-old Cora Davis. They would have 2 daughters together. As for their daughter Ruth, I don't believe she lived with her dad after Gracie died. 9 years after Gracie died, I found Ruth in the 1920 census. She was 10 years old and living in Fairview, Idaho, with her grandma, Mary Henderson James, Gracie's mom. Mary Henderson had remarried to a man named Charlie James after her husband William died and had moved to Idaho with him. In the same 1920 census, her father Riley was living in Okmulgee, Oklahoma, working as a teacher. He was living with his wife Cora and their new baby. In the 1930 census, Ruth was 20 and living in Furnace County, Nebraska. In this census, she is living with her aunt and uncle, Edgar and Minnie Henderson Curry. Minnie was Gracie's younger sister. The same 1920 census showed her father had moved his family of 4 to Springfield, Missouri. He continued to teach and stay in Springfield the rest of his life. Riley died in 1962 at the age of 77 due to stomach cancer. He is buried in East Lawn Cemetery in Springfield, Missouri with Cora. In 1933, when Ruth was 23, she married Fred Evans. They would have 2 children together. On her marriage license, she listed her parents were Grace Henderson and Riley Johnson. Ruth passed away in 1996 at the age of 85 and is buried in Arapahoe Cemetery in Nebraska with Fred. Gracie is buried at Henderson Cemetery in Douglas County, Missouri. Her grave is on land that was once owned and farmed by her father, William Henderson. Her brother Robert deeded the cemetery land to the county several years after her and William were buried there, and it was then named Henderson Cemetery. Gracie is buried next to her parents, William and Mary. William is in between them, and they all 3 have similar headstone designs. I also cleaned William and Mary's graves. If you're interested in their story, I put a link in the description below. When I began my research on Gracie, I also found out that she didn't have a memorial page on Find a Grave. I went ahead and created her memorial page, entered her information, and I uploaded her cleaned headstone photo. I also requested that her page be linked with her parents, husband, and daughter Ruth, so hopefully the managers of those memorials will approve it. Here are the before and after pictures of her stone. I took the aftershot 3 months after the first cleaning. It was really, really dirty when I cleaned it. I know there's still quite a bit of staining to it, but it was just straight covered in black the first time I saw it. So I was impressed how different it looked. Again, I'll just let the D2 keep working and I'll recheck it at a later time. If you want to hear more stories like this one, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I post a new video every week. Thank you so much for watching.